and welcome to another episode of From the Pink Seats Podcast, the internet's first and best and only podcast dedicated exclusively to the University of Louisville football program. I am your co-host, producer Keith. That's Vincent Lococo, frantically cleaning up what I assume is a spilt drink.
Yes, not a way to start the show.
That's fantastic. Thank you all for tuning in. Before we get into things, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to us on Twitter, make sure you drop follows at all the accounts affiliated with the program, at Pink Seats Pod, at State of Lou, at producer_Keith, at Vincent Lococo. If you're hopping over to the YouTube channel and joining the YouTube chat, hopping into the Pink Seats Party deck, you can join the chat and join the show. And we already heard from some regulars, Coliseum Chronicles. We got Dockery hopping in there, which he's joking with us, and he's talking about see you there. We talked about it a little bit before the episode. We're going to talk about it a little bit now. We officially got another State of Louisville Pink Seats watch party presented by our friends over at Surfside lined up. We're going to be at FLANAGAN'S this Saturday. So if you aren't fortunate enough to make the pilgrimage out to Lane Stadium out in Blacksburg, you're not making the trip out to Virginia to catch the game in person, you're staying in town and you want a place to come watch the game with a bunch of Louisville fans, we're going to be at FLANAGAN'S. We're going to be posted up, and we're going to be doing the digital watch party as well. Vince and I putting ourselves at risk of being clipped and used for memes by the other team's fandom. Thankfully, didn't happen the last time. Got some pretty good clips out of it, and it was a great party. So I hope you all can make it out, hang out with us. And if you can't make it out there, hop into the Pink Seats Party deck. Join us online. We'll be broadcasting the watch party at same spots as where you're seeing this episode: Twitch, Twitter, YouTube. So get out, hang out with us, enjoy some Surfside, and let's watch the Cards get another win. So tonight, if Vince can end up rallying and saving his setup, we're going to be talking about Virginia Tech.
Man, this is insane, Keith. I would just knock over a whole thing of water.
That's funny, man. I'm gonna have so much fun with your like screen when I'm editing the recorded version of this episode.
God.
Well, let's
the fact that everything is still like, I mean, I'm talking, y'all. I just spilled a whole glass of water on my laptop.
How big a glass we talking? Like 12 ounce? We talking like a 16-ounce pint? We talking like a big old 20-ounce plus Stein? What are we doing?
This.
Your camera's gone, bud. I got nothing from you right now.
Oh, I'm visible on my end.
Oh, that is weird. I wonder how it's going to look in the episode because I've got nothing. Party deck, hop in the chat. Let us know. Can you see me and Vince? Because this could be really awkward. But anyway, let's dive into the show before Vince breaks even more of the Kern's Corner digital studio. Again, we're going to be at FLANAGAN'S Saturday. You know where I'm going to be Friday. I'm going to be at Kern's Corner, getting that patty melt, getting that clam chowder, getting a bag of chips, loving life. Kern's Corner, one of the earliest supporters of the show. Support the people who support us out there in the heart of the Highlands. Get out there and show those guys some love. All right, he's back. I was just about
needed a nice little restart.
I was just about to start playing some miscellaneous, like, whatever music we have at our streaming platform, hide myself. So now that the technical difficulties are over. Oh, it's all good.
I'm soaking wet.
He's leaking. Soaking wet. Only from the Pinks. You best believe this is all staying in the YouTube show. You got to enjoy this.
For sure. Yeah.
So
gave everybody a little bit extra time to get into the chat.
Yeah, you know what? You're a man of the people. Buying some time, getting people in. You know what? I was going to try and make a soaking wet transition into Sack King update. I ain't touching that one. Sack King update to start the show. To officially close the book on Boston College, Wes Bailey 2 sacks last week. Should have probably been 3, but the scorekeepers don't like Canadians. So +2 on the board for Wes Bailey. That was it on the sack side. And Vince, we got a tie for the lead. Wes and Clev both tied at 4, leading the team in sacks.
Yeah, I think, honestly, Keith, I think you had Wes Bailey, didn't you, at the start of the season?
That is correct.
That's looking like a smarter and smarter pick with how teams are just blocking Clev and the rest of the D-line.
You know, you never want to be the guy. You want to be the guy who works with the guy. So, yeah. But we've got 4 and 4. You know what? Let's call our shot a little bit this week. Do you think anyone picks up a sack to take the lead this week?
I would not be surprised if Wes does pick one up, just because, like I said, how they've been blocking Clev. It seems like they're sliding more to his side, and Wes is getting more of those one-on-one opportunities. I mean, shoot, he was matched up with a tight end at one point in the game last week. Yeah. So, I mean, it's the length for him, Keith, that really gets it, that allows him to get these just good sacks, because he uses that length with the speed, and it's tough to block.
Yeah, Vince is soaking wet. He's talking about length and how it makes it hard. You know you're at the Pink Seats podcast. One more plug before we start diving into the preview. Is if you like humor like that, juvenile humor, but it's, Louisville focused, you like to have a laugh, you don't take things too serious, or if you want to have serious convos, hop into the 1912 Society Discord. It's something that Doc, one of friends of the show, he, along with like us, Matt McGavick, and a group of other Louisville fans, helped put together and run. It's a place that I freaking love, a place made by Cards fans, for Cards fans. There's boards going over every single sport. I normally just stick to the football and volleyball boards. I peeked my head in during the Kansas exhibition to the Kansas exhibition game board. Oh my God.
That was a tough scene.
It was some good content, though. I was a big fan of that. So if you haven't already, hop in. We're doing giveaways and stuff all the time over there. So if you haven't yet, get signed up, get in there. It's a great place to be. So nowhere else is a great place to be. And this is what I wanted to do the wet transition for, was Vince, you've been kicking some ass over at Hot Works recently. Did you have another double duty day today? Your audio's gone now. Well,
I'm muting myself. That was completely on me.
Vince versus the mute button. 1-0.
No, today I didn't. Yesterday I did. I did the bar none class, which is essentially like, I don't know, ballet, basically ballet.
Ooh,
with no bar. And I mean, my calves are just dead right now. And then I did the cycle class as well. And I took my shirt off in the parking lot, and Keith, I wrung it out. I sweat so much. Like, it was insane. I love it up there, though. I'm definitely addicted.
I mean, you saw just what us doing a podcast in one of the saunas could do if you tuned in for the Boston College preview last week. Yeah. 120 degrees doing some no bar work. It'll put you through the ringer.
Yeah, that was tough. I told my sister, I was like, yeah, I did 2 workouts, came home, showered, ate, and then went back up there and recorded a whole hour podcast with Keith. I had no water in me at all. I was just dead.
Dehydrated. Did you have some of the old abs popping back out, or?
I don't think those ever were a thing.
All right. So again, huge thanks to Hot Works for having us out and for sponsoring the show. Get out there. Location specifically in Stony Brook. Great people out there had us in. We got to get a nice cook, and that's where Vince does his work at. So who knows? You sign up, you get in. Maybe you'll run into a wild Vince Lococo one day. But Virginia Tech preview. First off, just some overall news and notes. We're up to 16th in the AP poll. Absolutely love to see it. Miller Moss made the final 10 for the Unitas Golden Arm Award. I mean, maybe it's a Louisville legacy position because it's a Johnny Unitas award.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of good quarterback play around the country this year in general.
Down year for the sport.
Yeah, like so. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. Like, I'm not surprised Miller's in the top 10 of that anymore at this point after his performance against Miami. And then, he had the boneheaded interception last week, but, still kept the offense moving and on pace. So,
Yeah, well, those were the two big news and note items. We haven't got a uniform drop yet, which is sad because
Nope.
we like to have our fashion corner over here. So we'll just have to tweet about that. But you know what's wild though? For the first time in over a decade of being a member of the ACC, we're finally making a game out to Lane Stadium for the first time. And a friendly reminder, Virginia Tech is geographically the closest school to Louisville in the conference.
This was one for me that, like, I was hoping we would get whenever I was playing at Louisville. Obviously we weren't going to get it with the Atlantic and Coastal setup and everything. And, I mean, obviously playing there, we haven't done it yet, but that was a stadium that I just wanted to play in. I mean, Enter Sandman, their fans, everything about that place just screams college football. And I mean, it's what makes college football so special, in my opinion, is having a packed house, even when your team's not even that great, and still, carrying on those traditions, having the stadium rocking. It means a lot to the players for sure. I know that much. Whenever you're having down years, I remember 2018, whenever we didn't have anybody in the crowd, we'd be like, damn. But I don't blame you. So,
Yeah, yeah, and it's a weird year. Like the year we finally get to go out there for a road game. They fire their coach 3 games into the season, coming off just getting belt to ass put on them by Old Dominion of all teams. They fire their coach and then they rally. Like they're 3-2 in their last 5 games under their interim head coach, Phil Montgomery. And they just last week on Friday night had a big overtime win against Cal, who was 5-2 at the time.
yeah.
Was trending as one of those controls their own destiny teams in the ACC. It's tough traveling coast to coast, and they were able to take care of a team that gave them the opportunity to win. So it's a team that has a lot of momentum. They had nearly 55,000 at their last home game, which I think their stadium capacity is like 60, 65-ish. So not quite a sellout, but they got a bunch of people showing up. And if you're watching them on TV, they're being loud. They're in full support of that squad. Like Phil Montgomery and just this shift, they've put life back into this program. And it's cool to see, but at the same point in time, it's like, damn, it would have been nice just to get a free dub,
I mean, it's a team that clearly, Keith, whenever you're in those situations, you have a decision to make as a ball player, as a coach, as everyone. Are we going to lay down and just make our season, as shitty as possible? Or are we going to play, each game for each other, for this, interim coaching staff who, is likely going to lose their jobs as well at the end of the year? They're just there because, I mean, they can't leave you at that point. They're kind of stuck there just like you are, but they're not guaranteed a scholarship next year. They're going to get fired. So it's like playing for those guys, playing for each other. I think this team has really made the right decision. And you're right, Keith, we're in a weird situation where I would have loved a free dub, but it's most definitely not going to be free.
Yeah, and to not give too much, I'm not going to give him credit the whole episode, I pinky promise, but I think it was Kyron Drones went on ACC Network and talked about like that players only meeting the day that Brent Pry got let go and like what they were going to do and what type of meeting they had to turn their season around. And it sounds like they've got a real leader on that squad in the quarterback position. Yeah. And now Virginia Tech might have a little bit extra juice because we talked about it in the pre-show meeting. Rumblings are they might have a exciting pickup potentially at head coach come the end of the year. So
award-winning listener James Franklin definitely has been taking our advice, Keith, of, hey, maybe I should head to Virginia Tech. And, if I win 8 games in a down year, they won't ask for my head.
Well, also, I think Virginia Tech, like they got a $50 million gift. Like they're really wanting to put an emphasis on football to get it back to what it was in the Beamer days. I'm honestly, like, if this does come to fruition, I'm glad Virginia Tech isn't just doing the expected thing
Boston
of waiting.
College.
Well, of waiting for South Carolina to let go of Shane Beamer just to bring him back in. Like, they're going out and they're being aggressive and taking a big cut at one of the premier names in the coaching market. And it's two separate sort of looks, because it's like, as a football fan, I like to see it for the ACC, especially to get some more real competitors in this league to try and raise the football profile a bit. As a Louisville fan, kind of sucks, because it's like, oh, goody.
Because I wanted them to hire Mark Stoops.
Another team that's gonna be putting their foot on the gas and trying to be as good at football as possible, while we're still, like, we're trying to do everything. And I'm not saying we can't, but when other teams are trying just football, it makes football a lot harder.
Yeah, I agree. And Virginia Tech will go all in on football. I mean, that is, you mentioned the Beamer days, the lunch pail, all that good stuff. I mean, the toolbox they walked around with. I mean, they want to get back to football prominence. And
It's a base that's hungry.
I think I scheduled this as one of the tougher games at, when we did our preseason stuff. I had this game circled as one that is one to watch, just strictly based off of where we are playing at.
Yeah, and early on in the season, you saw this team battle against South Carolina, and we thought, oh, damn, this Virginia Tech team might be real. And then things just really went off the rails from then on out with incredibly quick. So let's talk a little bit less about what's going on around the program and start to dive into the actual nuts and bolts of the team. Scheme talk, what to expect. From what we've seen on offense of this Virginia Tech team, they love to just run your classic sort of spread offense that a lot of colleges and high schools will do when you have a real athlete at quarterback. And we'll sort of work front to back. Trenches, I'm not really impressed with what they've shown. They've got a pretty young group of linemen that are starting. You go in and you watch the tape, like that Cal game. They weren't able to generate push against Cal. And I'm trying not to be disparaging of Cal, but they aren't exactly the toughest of front sevens. So
it's not Georgia.
So you aren't able to establish your will. And you sort of see that in their game plan. This is a group that likes to run the ball. They love to run the ball. So you'd think, oh, hey, we got a bunch of big bullies on the offensive line. No, they get creative with their running game. They run outside the tackles almost exclusively. Like, they like to get out in space, let their running backs make plays. They like to get creative. Like, they'll put jet motion, turn it to a read option play, get drones outside, and then make you make an open field tackle on drones. Like, this is a team that's playing
what
like they have nothing to lose.
That's what that offense is really all about, is just having the ball in Drones' hands and allowing him to go and make plays. And they'll scheme, obviously scheme routes downfield and things like that. But what I'm most impressed with Drones is his ability to, run around in the pocket and extend plays and keep things alive, which is something that absolutely terrifies me, because it takes for 1 second for a corner or safety to take their eyes off a defender in a scramble situation, and they spring for a big play. It takes one good coverage, but we don't contain the edge, and Drones is outside going for 20, 30 yards. So, I mean, that kid is a ball player, man. I love the way he plays football. I wish he wouldn't I'm happy he forces a lot of passes, in my opinion. But I was going to say I wish he wouldn't force so many passes. But, no, I hope he forces as many passes as possible this week. You note the South Carolina game, I mean, he had one where he was rolling to his right, and he threw it straight into triple coverage. I mean, it looked a lot like Carson Beck in the Miami game, that triple coverage one he threw, where you were like, what are you doing?
Yeah, there are some questionable decisions when you make him panic as a decision maker. And we'll talk more about that later in the show when we start talking about like what we need to do to win this game. But it's an interesting and fun offense to watch just because of how creative they are. trying to get just in the running game, trying to get the ball in open space because they've got athletes.
Well, Hawkins, Keith, I mean, just not even just their open space. Before we get going on the outside, I mean, Hawkins, their running back, he's averaging 6 yards a carry. That's more than enough to keep your offense on schedule and running at a good pace. And then you get into that 2nd and 4, 3rd and 4 area. Now you're talking, well, Drones can easily keep this right here and easily get a first down in any situation possible. So.
Yeah, it's so weird because Marcellus Hawkins, phenomenal ball player. Terrion Stewart, also a pretty good running back, and yet Kyron Drones leads the team in carries just because he's
he leads
that
the team
dynamic.
in touchdowns, dude.
Yeah, he's
rushing
athlete.
touchdowns. Excuse me. Yeah, Drones has 7 and Hawkins has 1.
Yeah, it's going to be a tricky matchup, and we'll talk about it more in the scheme. But our linebackers, it's going to be a long day. It's going to be a long day. Hey, just hopping into the party deck. Jacob Lane hopping in for a little bit.
Jacob, I spilled water on my laptop. I'm freaking out right now.
You left us alone for 15 minutes and bad things happened, Jacob.
Yeah, man.
So
Charger's not working.
Step into the outside, and this is a bit of a weird one because I don't know how much of it is scheme versus how much of it is just natural ability. Because you watch the tape, there's only one receiver that really jumps off the page and impresses you. But then you look at the stat sheet, and even the stats are pretty pedestrian. But Aiden Grade, wide out. I mean, you got to be a badass if your number is 0. So number 0, he's like 6'2", 200 some odd pounds, like pretty well put together kid. He can make some bully ball catches if you let him. But again, the stats and just the production is very pedestrian. And
he only has 365 yards on the year on 2 touchdowns.
Only has 23 catches, and we're more than halfway through the season.
Yeah, it's not very good.
He's
on
one of those
outside.
big.
I don't know, Keith. I don't know if it's the weapons or, like you said, the scheme. I think Drones has the ability to throw the ball downfield. Not sure exactly what it is, but this isn't. When I watched them on the outside, I looked at it and said, as long as our eyes are in the right spot, these DBs should have a day.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. And we'll go ahead and we'll flip to the other side of the defense, and we'll take the opposite approach. We'll go outside in. Speaking of people who could have a freaking day, Chris Bell and Colin Lacy, because this secondary, it leaves room for improvement, full of opportunities.
You were talking about Swiss cheese earlier, Keith. What was that in reference to? I have no idea.
That was dinner. I made myself a delicious hot ham and Swiss. I would never disrespect an opponent like that. No,
fair.
But,
I agree with you, though, man. Chris Bell and Lacy both. This is a game where they are looking at it saying we have more than enough opportunities to get open and to make big plays as long as this offensive line holds up for Miller Moss.
Yeah, and even just watching the Cal game, and it took a little bit for Cal to get into a rhythm. It seems like Virginia Tech tries to just play bend, don't break. We're going to run a lot of soft zone. If you beat us, we'll try to rally and make a tackle. I dare them to play that game with Chris Bell because it's not going to go the way you think it is. I dare them to play that game with Colin Lacy. It's not going to go the way you think it will. So, you look at key players and, did we even highlight a single one out of the secondary, or was it just all
the ones
linebackers?
I had highlighted, man, were all linebackers. Their top 3 leading tacklers were linebackers. Their linebackers get enough sack. I mean, they have, out of their starting 3 linebackers, they have 4.5, 5 sacks, multiple pass deflections. I mean, it's a good linebacking core. I think we have more than enough opportunities to do a double and climb up to these guys and scheme our way around them. That's very easy for us just to get a hand on and let Isaac Brown just do his thing at this point. He's, fully healthy, and we saw it last week against BC. Some of the bad blocks, just not average blocks, Isaac Brown was definitely able to make us right. Keywan as well was able to make us right in a lot of those situations.
And we talk about the linebacking core and like they're the best aspect of this defense. This isn't Pitt. This isn't like, oh shit, they've got 3 bona fide
Exactly.
potential
Yeah.
NFL linebackers. Like they're good college football players, and that's it. They're good college football players. They're not special.
Yeah.
They're not game breakers, and they don't have help. Because if we move to the defensive front, again, I don't mean to be mean to Cal. This defensive line got bullied by Cal. Like they Virginia Tech won the game, credit to them. Cal could not have shot themselves in the foot any more than they did in that game to get it to over to like 10 toes, all gone. Like Cal kept them in this game because if you just look at how the game goes, the domination in the trenches on both sides of the ball, Cal dominated that game physically. So there is no reason for us to not expect the same. The O-line, they're starting to come together. They're starting to click. They're starting to make some plays, starting to make some blocks. Again, you did what you were supposed to do against Boston College. Do it again against another team that you should bully around in this Virginia Tech squad. Like this,
You've had 2 good, Keith, 2 good weeks in a row to 3 good weeks in a row for the offensive line. I mean, I would classify Miami. Yeah, I would say 2 good weeks in a row. It's like, how can you continue to build on this? And this is the perfect game for these guys to continue to figure out what works right, to continue to figure out their rotations, and honestly, just continue to get like better. I mean, this is a game where they should be able to fire off on the football at every opportunity. You know, you mentioned Cal bullying them, and I'd like to think we have a lot more physical offensive linemen than Cal football does.
yeah.
So, yeah, the tackle spot for me is definitely going to be the ones to watch. Obviously, those guys have been getting beat inside a lot in previous games, but that was all prior to Trevonte Sylvester being added back into the mix. And, I mean, it's just looked like a whole completely different group whenever he's on the field.
And again, like we saw against Boston College, good running game forces a defense to be more aggressive. And this is a Virginia Tech defense. Their linebackers are good. They are aggressive. So if you beat them with the run game a few times, those guys are going to collapse down immediately. We should have a lot of wide open play action if we do our job in establishing the run. So this could be a game where everybody eats. Like both Browns, they could eat. Lacy and Bell, they can eat. And like really, we should be able to name the score watching this defense. Is that always the case? No, because we've had our own warts as well. Not going to say we're going to go out and play perfect. Can we not turn the ball over a ton, not make boneheaded penalties that we've started to see sort of ramp back a little bit? Like it's nowhere near what it was at the beginning of the year. Can we play a good, disciplined football game against a team that, while not great, is a step above Boston College? So,
and it's on the road, Keith. That's the other factor that we're throwing in here is it's on the road, and that, I mean, I like to assume it's a halfway tough environment at Virginia Tech. If they're going to pack the house, it's a really tough environment. There's just a lot of different factors between this game and the BC game. I much better team, much better environment, everything like that. So it's going to be a tough battle. It's not going to be a cakewalk. Like you said earlier on, I wish it was a freebie.
Yeah. So we talked a little bit about it while we were talking through potential scheme, but like players to watch on our side of the ball, like Bell and Lacy, both of those guys could individually have huge days. Both of the Browns at running back could potentially have huge days. Clev Lubin and Wes Bailey, we talk about how their offensive line isn't an elite unit. This is a game where you're most likely not going to be able to put up a huge stat line because your primary assignment has to be get as deep as the deepest man, keep contain, then collapse in the passing game. Mm-hmm. So
but at the same time, Keith, man, the linebackers in that, I would group the linebackers into that as well because, you know, if we get upfield, deep as the deepest man like we're supposed to and everything, Drones is just, I mean, he can run it right up the middle just as easy. So, I mean, that's another thing just to watch out for. Do we have a guy that can sit there and spy on Drones? Do we have that? This is a game where I would love for Stanquan Clark to be available. Love.
Yeah. So I'm curious. Oh, let's have Vince. I want you to put on your were you a hat or a visor guy? I was going to say, let's put on
wore
your
a hat.
let's put on the D coordinator's hat.
You got to think. Wait, before you get going on this, there was only one guy when I was around who was allowed to wear a visor.
Okay, you know what? That's fair. That's fair. And up, that's on me. I should have known that. So we talk about the edges and then the TJs and Caleb. What is sort of like your base look? Just, okay, base defense. What do you throw out to keep drones from beating you? Is it just like a sort of cover 2 look with one of your mics sort of doubling as a spy, or?
I like to go 4 down for sure so that you can kind of take up, you never want to rush 3 in any situation, obviously. So you're going to have to bring somebody if you're going in a 3 down situation. But I like to just go ahead and have it in a 4 down so we can kind of clog up that middle, not worry about him taking off up the middle so much. We can have Clev and Wes play their normal deal outside, and then really just a cover 2 would probably work, or anything. I mean, it's about the linebackers knowing their depth and where they need to get in relation to wide receiver and the quarterback. You can't get too far away out on top of the receiver, because then you leave a running lane open for drones, and you can't get too wrapped up into the run game like Caleb Perry was last week, because that's when you get beat over top and something sneaks in behind you. So it's a tricky spot that those linebackers are going to have to play in. I mean, your normal base stuff will work against this, man. You just got to play really sound fundamental football.
Joke's on you. We're running base dime. Can't trick the linebackers if only one's on the field.
My favorite dime look of all time was whenever we moved Josh Harvey Clements down from safety to Mike linebacker, and we had like a 6'5" middle linebacker. God. It was insane.
I love that.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tricky game, because everything on paper says Louisville should be able to handle this. But man, they've just got athletes, and they've got a renewed sense of fight, of will to go out, battle, and play. Like, this isn't a team that's on quit watch. They're going out, they're playing hard, and it's going to be a really interesting game. So we dive in.
And their coaching staff is sitting there saying as well, before you get going on the next one, Keith, is they're counting you out. They're not even thinking about you. They're thinking about the next week. All that's getting fed into Virginia Tech's head, so they're going to come out swinging for the fences.
Yeah, it's going to be it's a fascinating matchup. And I hate saying that about a game where it's like a team I support. It's just like, oh no, we should just curb stomp these bozos. I'd much prefer that.
I mean, Keith, in all reality, we should. We're sitting here at 6-1. I mean, the only spot where they have a better athlete than us is drones at quarterback. And I mean, everywhere else, we truthfully have the better football players. So just go out and execute your normal game plan, and keep the foot on the throat the whole time. It'll be interesting to see if we get up like 14-3, 21-3, 21-6, anything like that, how Virginia Tech starts to respond. Are they going to roll over, or are they going to continue fighting? Because at the end of the day, you're just playing for the interim head coach.
Oh, man, you're just taking a couple steps ahead of me, Vince, and I'm really excited. Before we dive into like key matchups and like primary aspects of the game, we got a fascinating question here on the Pink Seats Party Deck. Again, if you want to join the Pink Seats Party Deck, head on over to the State of Louisville YouTube page, hit that subscribe button, and you can dive into the chats during all the live shows, during all our podcasts. It's been us a lot during football season. Starting 502 has been starting to really ramp back up. A lot of people are getting involved in that. Louisville basketball team looks like they're rolling a little bit. But question from Anthony in the chat. You guys think Stanquan plays again this year, or he redshirts? So it's a fascinating question to ask, because theoretically we could have our cake and eat it too. So if Stanquan's back and good to go, he can play in 2 more regular season games, if I'm counting correctly, because he got injured, I believe, against James Madison. He can play in 2 more regular season games and then play in the postseason and still redshirt because of the 4-game redshirt.
Did he redshirt as a true freshman?
Nope, he was on the field.
No,
he was playing as a true freshman. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So that would definitely leave open that availability for redshirt. If I'm Stanquan, I'm not redshirting, or I'm redshirting, and I am, I'm not putting myself in the Jamari Johnson situation where obviously it was up in the air on his health, all that. And that seemed to be why Jeff and them were cautious on bringing him back to the football team and spending that NIL money on him. If I was Stanquan, I would get as healthy as humanly possible this entire season and let it be known to Jeff and the team that I have not lost a step. I am the same football player. I'm coming back to, do everything I thought of last year and more. So I would just try and get healthy. I mean, we're sitting pretty at 6-1. There's nothing really for you to go out there and prove right now at the moment. You just got hurt on a freak play, so I would just sit.
If he does want to come back, I assume it wouldn't be until the SMU game at the earliest, because that's a penultimate game of the regular season. It's our final ACC game. Then you get the Kentucky matchup, and you get to have your cake, eat it too. You get to redshirt. You could come out, play, show you haven't lost a step after the injury, and that still gives you another almost month for rest, recovery. And I mean,
right.
As
I'm just thinking, like, getting up to game speed for one, like that's
for
going to
sure.
be, I mean, it's a little bit different than Sylvester. I mean, different in a lot of ways because Stanquan's going to be running a lot more. I mean, Stanquan has to cover a receiver, cover a running back, run sideline to sideline. I don't know, man. If he wants to come back, if he's confident enough in that ankle and the stability of the ankle, I would hate for him to go out there and have something stupid happen and it gets set back even more when he's like sitting at 75%, Keith. And it's like, oh, I'm pushing it to come back. I don't want him back unless he is 100%. You are good to go.
Thankfully, linebacker is a position of luxury almost because Capers and Caleb Perry have both been playing very well in Stanquan's absence. So from the staff's point of view, no need to rush him back. But as a player, you see your backups coming in and playing pretty well. Do you try to rush back like, hey, nah, you're not replacing me. I'm still that dude. I'm still him. Like
I'm looking at it like TJ Quinn's a senior this year. And like I'm gonna be starting regardless because there's gonna be a spot open and I think I'm better than the rest of the guys out there. I don't know, man. It's an interesting spot. It's an interesting spot for Stanquan.
Yeah. So just to answer Alex's question in the chat, he was asking if the ACC championship and the college football playoff, if we were to make it that far, or bowl games in general, count towards the redshirt games. No, postseason play does not count. Only regular season games count towards that redshirt calculator. So that's why we say he could play against SMU, he could play against Kentucky, and then he could play in the postseason, and he'd still be good for a redshirt.
I knew what CFP meant, but ACCCG, I was like, what the? I don't know what he's talking about.
Hey, Alex has big aspirations still. I dig it. I'm a big fan.
Big abbreviations. Big abbreviations.
So to focus back in, last couple of segments, back in on Virginia Tech, key matchups of the game. And the first one that I really focused on was, can our offensive line beat up another very beatable defensive line? Like you did it last week. You beat up on Boston College. You created running lanes. Isaac Brown set a career high 200+ yards rushing. Can you go out there and do it again? Do I expect 200 yards rushing from Isaac? No. But I could 100% us seeing as a team running for 300+ again.
I could too, Keith. I mean, these
especially
guys,
if we
it's
don't.
all about. Go ahead.
I was going to say, especially if we don't give the damn ball away so many times.
Right. You can't be giving the ball away in fumbles and interceptions. I mean, the one in Miami and then last week were just two frustrating plays, man. But, I mean, get your head across, come off the ball, and, climb to the second level. The linebackers are the dudes of this defense, and if you can get to linebackers, Chris Bell, Colin, Lacy, all those guys have shown that they're more than willing to block downfield. So we could be having some big plays, I would definitely expect one. I'm gonna go with the over. If we're setting the line at 1 Isaac Brown long touchdown run, I'm gonna go with 2.
Okay, so if we're at 1.5 as the Isaac Brown explosive play, you got it?
Yeah.
You got the over?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm going over.
Next matchup. We talked about Virginia Tech's defense a little bit. They run like a base nickel sort of look, like a 4-2-5. They rotate their linebackers a lot. they get creative with their looks. Like they'll show blitz a lot and they'll like run those coffee shop blitzes and they'll send guys and then have them bail out at the last second. How does Miller Moss handle a defense that's willing to show those creative looks? We saw him get a little I'm not going to say flustered. You know what? Perplexed. Get perplexed by them a little bit in the James Madison matchup earlier.
Right.
And it was also another defense that I wasn't overly impressed by. They've been beating teams down, so maybe that defense was just better than I expected. Mm-hmm. So can you do it against another team that likes to show creative looks and tries to challenge the quarterback to make the right read and to drop the right play? That's going to be
most of that's going to come
matchups.
Pre-snap. That's going to come pre-snap, though, Keith. I mean, he's going to have to just take the hard part's masking and making when you're scanning the field for a pass play, opposed to sometimes you don't scan the field, as much for a run play. So if Miller can just make all that look the same, I'm scanning the field at all times, looking at the entirety of the football field. Where are my safeties at? Is the corner impressed right here with the safety over on the boundary? Oh, that's a cat. Things like that. He's just going to have to be a really smart football player throughout that's how he's going to have to be through the rest of the season because, we've seen his ability to, play under pressure. And if he wants a clean pocket, he's going to have to make those decisions before the ball is even snapped.
And the last sort of key thing I had, how do we handle focusing on a road game with a re-energized crowd? Like we talked about it before the season, regardless of how good that team is, this might be the most hostile road game we have. And I still think that's true because going out to Miami, that wasn't exactly a murderer's row of a crowd. Mm-hmm. Like they had a decent crowd there, but they weren't the most energetic because we got ahead early and sort of put the foot down on them.
I'm just laughing at that dude that was throwing double birds.
Oh, the luxury box, dude.
Yeah.
So this is going to be like the first real road environment that the team's going to have to play in this year. How do they handle that challenge? Fingers crossed, playing against a team that has a crowd with some energy actually puts some life into them,
Yeah, right. See, like there's a couple of things that, one, I would be worried. Actually, I wouldn't be too worried. I don't know how Virginia Tech does their entrances for the away team. I don't know if they're running out before Enter Sandman and all that stuff or after or whatever it may be. But me personally, that would be something I would be enamored with is, the crowd and the entrance and all that. But I would also feel that energy from the crowd and be so excited to play a football game. I mean, this is an environment that, as a kid that you would just be dreaming of playing in,
Oh, for sure. It's one of the like rarefied mythical places of college football.
Right.
Like if you're, 10 sort of things you have to see in college football before you die for the ultimate college football fan, this is going to be up there as one of them. So,
yeah.
All right, Vince, before we dive into predictions, Louisville to get the win, if there's just one thing you want to prioritize, like what is your biggest key to make sure Louisville gets a win in this game?
Establishing the run, most definitely. I mean, we are a different football team whenever we establish the line of scrimmage, whenever Isaac Brown and Keywan Brown are going. It also helps out in the play-action passing game, helps Miller feel a lot more comfortable, helps the offense stay on schedule. Establish the run game, and I feel very confident in us winning this football game.
So mine was of a similar vein, but get out to a hot start. Don't let this team hang with you. It's a team that likes to run the ball. If you, just like Miami, if you can get out and get ahead by a couple of scores early, make Kyron Drones throw to beat you. That's the weakest aspect of his game. If you can play with a lead, which of course it sounds silly to say, oh, if you get ahead, then you can win the game. But play with a lead and make Virginia Tech play a game they don't want to play. They like to run the ball. They like to control clock, and they want to limit possessions. Make them pass. Make them try to distribute the ball. This is a team that has, I think, 60 more rush attempts than pass attempts on the season. Make them try to air it out to beat you. It's something our defensive line's done a great job of limiting this year, but this is a team that likes to get creative, get outside the tackle box. So it's going to be more on the edges and the linebackers to try and shut down the run game this week.
Get them in those third and long situations, man. I mean, I know, like you say, Keith, that's the easy thing to point out, but like you get them in those third and long situations, and Drones is going to struggle. I believe he's going to start forcing things in areas that he doesn't want to force them. He might be taking all looking. That's going to be the interesting thing to see too, Keith, is where are his eyes going to go once he gets hit one or two times? Is he going to continue to keep his eyes downfield and try and make plays and risk getting that sack, or is he going to start to get happy feet and get nervous in the pocket and look to take off even before he looks at his first read? That's going to be something interesting to watch.
So we'll see how it plays out. We'll be out at Flanagan's watching along. Again, if you missed it earlier in the show, or if you were spaced out and you're listening to the recording, State of Louisville Watch Party presented by Surfside at Flanagan's this Saturday. If you can't make it out, coverage begins at 2:30, if I'm correct. It's a 3 o'clock kickoff.
Yep, 2:30, and then we will start the stream at 2:30, stream going at 3, and we are going until the end of the game like we did last time, Keith. It was a fun time, fun environment. There's nothing better than being in a bar with a group of Cards fans just rooting for the game. It's just so fun. I love it.
And maybe Vince can get a break from his mayoral duties and he can actually hang out the whole stream instead of running around and being the mayor of J-Town.
We'll be on Bardstown. We'll be on Bardstown Road, right? That's where Flanagan's is, right?
Yeah, so are you the mayor of Bardstown Road too?
Hell no, man. Okay. Jacob knows I don't leave J-Town.
So that's where we're going to be Saturday. Would love it if you can make it out, join us, hang out with us, get some Surfside while they're there, get some tasty food, get some apps. You're probably going to watch me and Vince eating some apps on stream. So Food Perverts, bookmark that if you're really excited for it.
Here's some ASMR.
So
me eating a mushy cheeseburger.
Let's get to the most tense portion of the show. It's the picks portion. And after last week, Vince, you and I took the dub last week. Jacob took an L.
You're gonna virtually shake your hand on that one, Keith. Good, smart decisions by us.
And just like that, we are all tied up. With only 5 games left in the season, all tied up. This is wild. So, of course, Jacob not being able to make it on,
automatic loser.
No. But if you aren't able to make it on the episode, you have to give you gotta give the picks first. So, Jacob, with the line, and this is a game you can find lines from 9.5 all the way up to 11.5, depending on what side you want. 10.5 is the closest one to -110 odds. The best odds as of the recording of this episode was on ProfitX or Fanatics Sportsbook. So Cards giving up 10.5 or Virginia Tech plus 10.5. Jacob is taking the Hokies plus 10.5.
Okay. Jacob, you're in the comments. Do you think we're going to win the game still?
That's Jacob reacting to Jacob's pick.
Yeah, right. I'm going to pick the Cards on this, man. This is one that is just teed up for a foot on the throat. Don't let up football game for us. Just hammering the run, allowing the play action pass to, spread the wealth around. Like you mentioned, Keith, Chris Bell, Colin Lacy could be having a phenomenal career day this week. I'm taking the Cards to win, and I'm taking the Cards on our picks.
This is a weird one because we talked about this whole show. Virginia Tech, spooky opponent. They're coming off an extra day's rest. The game's on the CW. They have a bona fide athlete at quarterback, something we haven't seen.
Wait, this is a CW
year.
Game?
Yeah, it's a CW game.
Fuck. There's bad juju.
But Virginia Tech's coming off a big emotional win last week, off an overtime win against a West Coast opponent that had to travel all the way from Berkeley, California, that committed a ton of penalties and dropped a ton of passes and made a ton of mistakes to keep Virginia Tech in the game. Louisville doesn't have to travel that far to Blacksburg. That's a short trip on a charter flight. They don't have the athletes at any position outside of quarterback that we do. This is a game where we can get ahead. Explosive play real early. I could see Chris Bell just sitting in his zone, making a catch, and then popping off, outrunning their entire defense early. This is a game where I could see Isaac Brown breaking off multiple 60-yard touchdown runs. This is a game where I could see Keywan Brown, to quote the great Marshawn Lynch, running through a motherfucker's face. This is just a game
over and over.
we have the dudes at every position. Just don't give the game away with your quarterback. And Miller Moss, I feel like the staff is starting to develop that understanding. What can Miller Moss do? What can't Miller Moss do? And they're starting to work with and call that more. Vince, I'm with you. I think Cards cover, and it's not particularly close. That said, to cover my ass, this also seems like the type of game where it could be alt line, money line, pick your side. Because if this game's close in the second half, buddy? I'm gonna be spooked.
You mentioned them, Jeff and Brian figuring out what Miller does well, but it's also Miller mentioned in the huddle them collaborating a lot more on plays and just talking about what Miller sees and things like that, which I absolutely love. I think that's helping Miller's game out more than anything. What are you comfortable running? Because clearly us running our normal deal that we ran with Tyler isn't going to work. So what are you comfortable running? And we can figure out everything else after that.
Hey, what are you talking about, man? Bonafide athlete, 2 rushing touchdowns last week.
Facts. That is facts.
Athlete with the T being a 7.
Yes. Yep. That's a shirt.
For the Pick'em segment, we're going to have a new leader next week. Is it going to be Jacob, or is it going to be the two of us tied for the lead? Only one way to find out. That's by hanging out with us at Flanagan's on Saturday. For everyone in the Pink Seats party deck, I want to thank you all for hopping in, hanging out with us. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button over at the State of Louisville channel. I saw some comments about people talking about some football players who I've never heard of, with Tyron Stokes and Michael Brown. I think maybe those guys, you might want to tune in for Starting 502 for some talk on those guys here on the State of Louisville Podcast Network. For those of you watching on Twitter, again, make sure you follow at State of Lou, at Pink Seats Pod, at producer_Keith, at Vincent Lococo, and get out to Flanagan's one last time. Get out there, hang out with us. Let's make this another fun watch party. Do it if you're cool. Do it if you're cool, and do it if you love Surfside, like me.
Yes.
So thank you all again for tuning in. We'll be live Saturday. Be sure to tune in and join us if you can't make it out, and we'll be back with the recap show on Monday regardless. And as always, go Cards!